Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us in today's Germany's e-invoicing webinar. Before we begin, let me introduce myself and our speakers. I am Ibrahim Mujaddami, the host of this online webinar. We have Alper Aladag, SAP project manager and e-compliance expert with extensive experience in SAP implementations and international e-invoicing regulations. Also, we have with us Ergon Paktish, the IT solution architect specializing in ERP architecture and compliance-driven integration solutions. Alper, Ergon, welcome and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Ibrahim. Happy to be here and looking forward to sharing insights on ERP and compliance readiness.
Thank you, Ibrahim. It's a pleasure to join and discuss the architectural impact of the 2027 transition.
Great. Let's begin with the Germany invoicing roadmap. Let me briefly outline today's agenda. We will start with a short overview of e-invoicing and its key concepts in the EU. Then we will look at the Peppol network and how interoperability works in practice. Next, we will focus on the e-invoicing process in Germany, including formats, timeline, and ERP readiness for SAP and other systems. After that, we will introduce Eaglesoft solutions in Germany, and finally, we'll close with the key takeaways. So let's get started. Albert, looking at this slide, what is the key difference between structured e-invoices and traditional PDF or paper invoices?
The main difference is structure and automation. An e-invoice is a structured, machine-readable format, typically XML-based and compliant with EN 6931 standard. This allows system-to-system processing without manual intervention. A PDF or paper invoice is only human-readable. It requires manual posting or interpretation, which increases errors and slows down processes. So this is not just digitalization, it's a shift from document exchange to automated data exchange.
Okay. Thank you, Alper. So the real transformation here is moving from manual document-based processes to automated compliant data exchange. And beyond regulatory requirements, why does e-invoicing really matter for companies?
E-invoicing matters because it delivers both operational and financial benefits. First, it reduces processing costs. Studies show savings up to €9 per invoice compared to manual handling. Second, it accelerates approval and payment cycles through automation, improving cash flow. Third, structured data increases accuracy, reduces disputes, and minimizes manual errors. Additionally, it enables secure transmission, supports sustainability goals, and ensures regulatory compliance. So, e-invoicing is not just about compliance, it's about efficiency, control, and long-term digital transformation.
So, in short, it's not only a compliance requirement, but also a business opportunity. And before
Yes.
focusing on Germany specifically, can you briefly explain the key e-invoicing concepts at the EU level?
Of course, at the EU level, the foundation starts with Directive 2014-55 EU, which required public sector entities to accept electronic invoices based on a common European standard. That standard is EN 6931, which defines the structured data model for e-invoices across the EU. More recently, the EU introduced ViDA, means what in the digital age, which expands digital reporting and e-invoicing requirements, especially for business-to-business transactions. Under ViDA, digital reporting requirements will introduce near real-time reporting of cross-border invoice data. So what we see in Germany is not isolated. It is part of a broader EU-wide digital tax transformation.
So Germany's roadmap is aligned with a much larger European regulatory shift. And in the context of EU e-invoicing initiatives, what does the Peppol network actually represent?
Sure, Peppol represents a standardized international network for exchanging structured electronic documents. It was initiated by the European Commission to simplify cross-border public procurement within the EU. Instead of being a software platform, Peppol is a framework that defines how documents are transmitted securely and in a standardized format. It supports multiple document types, not only EU invoices, but also purchase orders and delivery documents. Technically, it operates through certified access points, which connect companies to the network. Today, Peppol has a global scope and is widely used in Europe, including Germany, as part of structured e-invoicing environments.
So Peppol provides the infrastructure for secure and standardized document exchange across borders. Thank you so much, Alper. Moving on to our IT architect, Ergon. This slide shows the old one-to-one ADI model and the Peppol Connect Once and Reach Everyone approach. What is the main advantage of Peppol compared to traditional EDI?
The main advantage is simplicity and scalability. In the traditional EDI model, companies had to create separate connections with each other, which was complex and costly. With Peppol, a company connects once through a certified access point and can then exchange documents with all participants on the network. It is not a software platform, but a standardized and secure framework for international document exchange. This significantly reduces integration complexity and ongoing maintenance effort.
So instead of many separate connections, you connect once to reach everyone. And Ergon, this slide shows the four-corner and five-corner Peppol interoperability models. Can you briefly explain the difference between these two models?
Sure. The four-corner model is the standard Peppol setup. It involves four parties: the supplier's access point, the buyer's access point, and the buyer. Documents are exchanged securely between the two access points through the Peppol network. The five-corner model adds one additional element, the tax authority. In this model, invoice data is also reported to the tax authority, typically in real time or near real time. So the key difference is reporting. The five-corner model integrates regulatory reporting into the Peppol transaction flow.
So the fifth corner essentially introduces mandatory reporting into the network model.
Exactly.
Very well. And beyond connectivity, what are the main benefits of using Peppol for e-invoicing?
Peppol offers several key benefits. First, it supports regulatory compliance by using standardized formats aligned with country-specific requirements. Second, it reduces costs and processing time by eliminating paper handling, manual data entry, and many common errors. Third, it enhances security. Peppol operates as a controlled and authenticated network, reducing risks such as fraud or unauthorized changes. And finally, it improves interoperability. Companies don't need to manage multiple formats. They can exchange invoices seamlessly across systems and borders. So Peppol combines compliance, efficiency, security, and scalability in one framework.
So it's not just a network, it's an efficiency and compliance enabler, basically. Lastly, Ergon, looking at this slide, what are the key steps for connecting to the Peppol network?
The process can be summarized in three main steps. First, you select a certified Peppol access point provider. This is essential because companies cannot connect directly to the Peppol network. They must connect through an authorized access point. Second, you integrate the access point with your ERP or accounting system. Your system needs to be configured to generate and process Peppol compliant invoices. Third, you start sending and receiving structured invoices and monitor compliance, the performance and compliance. So, in short, choose a provider, integrate properly, and operate within the standardized framework.
Amazing. Thank you for explaining the Peppol network to us. And as I understand, the key is selecting the right access point and ensuring proper ERP integration.
Right.
Let's now move to Germany specifically. Alper, could you briefly outline the key characteristics of the German e-invoicing mandate?
Of course, Germany follows a decentralized approach. Unlike clearance systems, tax authorities do not receive invoices in real time. The scope covers all domestic business-to-business transactions with limited exceptions, such as small value invoices and specific ticketing cases. In terms of format, invoices must comply with EN 6931 standards. For business-to-government transactions, XRechnung is commonly used, while in business-to-business, any EN 6931 compliant format, such as ZUGFeRD, is acceptable. Regarding transmission, there is no specific mandatory network for business-to-business, although Peppol is often preferred for scalability. Archiving requirements remain at 10 years retention period, and penalties will apply from 2028 for non-compliance. So Germany's model focuses on structured data compliance rather than real-time tax clearance.
So the key is structured compliance in a decentralized framework.
Exactly.
Also, Alper, could you elaborate a bit more on the e-invoice formats used in Germany? Which formats are usually relevant in practice?
Certainly, in Germany, all invoices must comply with the standard, EN 6931. This is the core requirement. But for business to government transactions, the main format is XRechnung. It was specifically developed for the public sector and is fully structured and XML based. In the business to business environment, companies can use any standard compliant format, but the most common one is ZUGFeRD. ZUGFeRD is a hybrid format. It combines a human readable PDF with embedded structured XML data. Additionally, Peppol BIS is widely used when invoices are exchanged through the Peppol network. What is important to highlight is that simply sending a PDF by email no longer qualifies as an e-invoice under the new mandate.
So the main requirement is EN 16931 compliance, not just sending a digital document.
For sure.
What should we understand by Germany's decentralized e-invoicing delivery model?
Germany's decentralized model means that there is no mandatory central government platform for transmitting business-to-business invoices. Unlike clearance systems, invoices are not sent to the tax authority for approval before reaching the buyer. Instead, businesses exchange invoices directly with each other as long as the format complies with the standard. Companies are free to choose their transmission channels, such as Peppol, EDI, or email, provided the invoice is structured and compliant. So the key focus in Germany is format compliance and proper archiving rather than real-time tax reporting.
I see now. Decentralization provides flexibility in transmission, while structured compliance remains mandatory. Alper, could you walk us through the Germany invoicing mandate timeline, and specifically until when are paper and PDF invoices are still allowed?
Certainly, since January 1st, 2025, all businesses in Germany have been required to be able to receive structured e-invoices. It's still in use and effective. at the moment. For issuing invoices, the transition is phased. Paper and unstructured PDF invoices are still temporarily permitted during this transition period. From January 1st, 2027, companies with an annual turnover above 800k euros must issue structured e-invoices for domestic business-to-business transactions. For businesses below that threshold, the obligations applies from January 1st, 2028. After 2028, paper and simple PDF invoices will no longer be permitted for domestic business-to-business transactions. So next year and 2028 is the key transition window companies must prepare for.
So although receiving is already mandatory, the critical deadline for issuing structured invoices are next year and 2028.
Correct.
Can you tell us what are the solution options for SAP using companies when preparing for Germany's invoicing mandate?
For SAP using companies, there are generally three main options. First, SAP DRC, Document Reporting and Compliance module. This is SAP's native solution, fully embedded within S/4HANA systems. It's suitable for organizations that follow a strong standard SAP strategy. Second, third-party SAP add-ons. These are integrated directly into SAP ECC or S/4HANA systems and are often preferred by companies seeking faster and more cost-effective implementation. Third, external API-based platforms. These operate outside the SAP core, connect via middleware or APIs. They are particularly relevant for companies with multiple ERP systems or more complex IT landscapes. So the choice depends on system landscape, integration preference, and long-term compliance strategy.
So even with SAP environments, there are multiple architectural paths to compliance.
Sure.
And once companies decide on their solution architecture, what are the key readiness points they should focus on before going live?
That's a critical question. E-invoicing readiness goes far beyond just selecting a technical solution. First, companies must ensure legal and format compliance, meaning EN 6931 compliant formats like XRechnung or ZUGFeRD, and proper archiving aligned with German statutory requirements. Second, master data readiness is essential. VAT IDs, structured addresses, tax classifications, and payment terms must be clean and validated. Third, partner connectivity needs to be clarified. Will you use Peppol? What if a partner is not on Peppol? Are alternative channels defined? These are the key questions. Fourth, invoice release and transmission controls must be clearly designed, especially automation, approval steps, and correction handling. And finally, SAP process, impact, and accounting logic must be aligned, including XML posting, validation checks, and error handling responsibilities.
Okay,
So true readiness is about compliance, system architecture, data quality, and financial control.
thank you so much, Alper. So compliance is only one piece. Operational and data readiness are as equally important.
Sure, for sure.
Moving on to Ergon, back to you here. More generally speaking, how should a company using any ERP system prepare for an e-invoicing transition?
Preparing for e-invoicing requires a structured approach across several work streams. First, legal and compliance readiness must be ensured. Invoices need to meet the required structured format standards, and statutory archiving obligations must be aligned. Second, master data quality is critical. VAT numbers, customer and vendor addresses, tax codes, and payment terms must be complete and validated. Third, companies need a clear partner connectivity strategy. Will they use Peppol? What happens if a partner uses a different channel? Are alternative exchange methods supported? Fourth, ERP integration and process design must be reviewed. How will structured XML invoices enter the system? Will validation or approval steps be required? Fifth, accounting and internal controls must be aligned as well, including mapping, duplicate checks, and error handling responsibilities. And finally, automation and transmission control must be defined to ensure secure and compliant invoice exchange. In short, e-invoicing readiness is not just a technical upgrade. It is a cross-functional transformation involving compliance, data, finance, and IT.
Absolutely. E-invoicing readiness is not just about technology, it requires alignment across compliance, data process, and controls. Back to you, Alper, here. Looking at these implementation steps, how should companies approach the e-invoicing transition in a structured way? Could you walk us through the key phases?
Of course, a successful e-invoicing implementation should follow a clear step-by-step roadmap. First, companies must confirm the scope and timeline, whether the mandate applies to business, business to government, and which entities or business units are affected. Second, they need to choose the correct invoice formats and transmission channels, such as ZUGFeRD, and decide whether to use Peppol, ViDA, or other combined methods. Third, it is important to assess current ERP processes, especially in accounts receivable and accounts payable, to understand what workflows or custom developments may be impacted. Fourth comes master data preparation. What are VAT IDs, addresses, bank details, and validation rules must be clean and structured. Fifth, companies should design integration and posting logic, defining how XML data maps into accounting entries and how tax and duplicate checks are handled. Sixth, they must define the control model, whether invoices are automatically released or require approval, and how errors or cancellations are managed. And finally, through testing, training, and go-live preparation, ensure a stable and compliant transition. In short, e-invoicing implementation is not just technical integration, it's a cross-functional transformation project.
So, in summary, e-invoicing implementation is not a single IT task. It's a structured journey that combines legal scope, system design, data quality controls, and organizational readiness.
For sure.
Before we move into the technical details of our products, I'd like to start by briefly introducing Eaglessoft. In this section, we'll give you a quick overview of who we are, what we do, and how we support companies in e-compliance and ERP transformation. This will help set the context for the solutions and workflows we'll be discussing shortly. Let's start with a short introduction to Eaglesoft. Eaglesoft specializes in ERP transformation and e-compliance solutions, including e-invoicing, e-delivery, SAFT, and e-ledger implementations. The company operates across 4 locations with its headquarters in Brussels, Belgium, and offices in Frankfurt, Istanbul, and Ankara. This international presence enables Eaglesoft to combine strong European regulatory expertise with dedicated local support, ensuring seamless compliance and system integration for its customers. And regarding Eaglesoft's vision and mission, Eaglesoft aims to be a leading technology provider enabling confident global digital transformation and sustainable growth. Its mission is to drive efficiency, regulatory compliance, and long-term value creation through reliable ERP and e-compliance solutions. By combining technical expertise with regulatory insights, Eaglessoft supports organizations in navigating complex compliance landscapes with confidence and stability. Delivering IT and e-compliance services requires not only experience, but also proven and certified capabilities. That is why Eaglessoft is ISO 27001 certified, ensuring that information security and data protection are embedded into all processes and solutions. The company is also is a certified Peppol access point provider, enabling secure and compliant electronic invoicing and document exchange across multiple countries. Combined with strong ERP expertise, API, and integration capabilities, the solutions deployed in more than 25 countries, these certifications reflect Eaglesoft's commitment to security, reliability, and enterprise-grade IT services. Eaglesoft operates across three core areas. The SAP department delivers end-to-end SAP projects covering process design, system integration, and ongoing support services. In addition, ERP support services are provided for platforms such as Microsoft Dynamics and Udo, including system upgrades, optimization, and maintenance. The e-compliance portfolio includes e-invoicing, regulatory reporting, and the DocNote e-compliance platform, supported by strong API and integration capabilities. Eaglesoft is structured around four core units. Marketing and sales focus on market engagement and customer alignment. Software development is responsible for project execution, quality assurance, and continuous innovation. The SAP department delivers consultancy services, e-compliance solutions, and ongoing support. And finally, the e-compliance and Peppol department ensuring secure integration, regulatory compliance, and scalable digital services. Together, these units enable reliable enterprise-grade service delivery. Ergon, we're back to you right now, and we're going to be talking a little bit about Eaglesoft solutions and what they offer. Eaglesoft offers different e-invoicing solutions in Germany to support companies under the new business-to-business mandate. Could you briefly walk us through these solutions?
Sure. Eaglesoft provides four e-invoicing solutions in Germany, each designed to support different ERP landscapes, company sizes, and compliance requirements under the German standards B2B mandate. For SAP users, Eaglesoft offer the SAP e-invoice add-on, enabling companies to manage EN 16931 compliant formats such as XRechnung and ZUGFeRD directly within SAP without modifying the SAP core system. For companies using non-SAP ERP systems, Eaglesoft delivers ERP e-invoice integration. This solution connects any ERP system via APIs to the DocNote platform, where invoice data is transformed into compliance structured invoices and transmitted through appropriate channels such as Peppol, EDI, or other compliant exchange methods, depending on partner requirements. For businesses without an ERP system, Eaglesoft provides Invoicit ERP e-invoice application, a web-based solution that allows users to create and send fully compliant German e-invoices quickly and efficiently. For multinational organizations, DocNote Global e-invoicing serves as a centralized compliance hub, supporting Germany and multiple other countries through unified transmission, format transformation, regulatory updates, and archiving. In summary, Eaglesoft delivers scalable e-invoicing solutions tailored to SAP users, non-SAP ERP environments, companies without ERP systems, and multinational enterprises.
So, regardless of the ERP landscape, Eaglesoft offers a flexible and scalable path to full e-invoicing compliance in Germany.
Exactly.
Thank you. Ergon, could you walk us through how the outgoing account receivables SAP e-invoice workflow works, specifically in the context of German mandate?
In the context of the German B2B e-invoicing mandate, the process begins in SAP, where the billing document is created in modules such as SD, FI, or MM. The invoice data is transferred to the Eaglesoft SAP e-invoice add-on via iDoc. The add-on performs the extraction, mapping, and the validation in line with German standards. If required, the structured German-compliant e-invoice such as XRechnung or ZUGFeRD can also be generated directly within SAP by the add-on. The structured invoice data is then transmitted either directly via API or through an optional integration layer such as SAP PIPO or SAP CPI to the DocNow platform. Within DocNow, the invoice undergoes format validation and compliance checks aligned with German regulatory rules. Since Germany follows a decentralized model, the invoice is not sent to a central tax authority but delivered directly to the business partner. Transmission can take place via Peppol or any other compliant exchange channel agreed between trading partners. Finally, the invoice is processed by the receiver according to the internal ERP rules, whether automated or approval-based, and can be archived in compliance with German statutory requirements. This ensures a compliant, traceable, and Germany-aligned end-to-end outgoing account receivable e-invoicing process.
So, from SAP billing to compliant transmission, the entire account receivable process remains integrated, controlled, and aligned with Germany invoicing requirements. Okay, and could you describe how the incoming SAP account payables e-invoice workflow works in Germany?
Yeah, the incoming structured e-invoices can be received via Peppol or other communication channels. All invoices are first received in the DocNow portal. At this stage, format validation, standards compliance checks, monitoring, and reporting are performed in line with German regulatory requirements. From DocNow, the structured invoice is transferred to SAP either directly via API or through an optional integration layer, such as SAP PIPO or SAP CPI, for message processing. Within SAP, the Eaglessoft SAP e-invoice add-on integrates the invoice into the SAP accounts payable process. If required, the invoice can be routed to SAP VIM, DMS, COFAX, or other invoice management systems for approval workflows. Finally, the invoice is verified and posted in SAP according to the company's internal accounting rules and control procedures. This ensures a compliant, controlled, and fully SAP integrated incoming account payable e-invoicing process aligned with the German mandate.
And beyond compliance, the key advantage is that incoming e-invoices can be seamlessly integrated into SAP and connected with systems like VIM or DMS, ensuring structured processing approval controls and end-to-end transparency.
Right.
Ergon, is the outgoing AR workflow for other ERP systems similar to SAP? And could you briefly explain how it works?
Yes, the overall logic is very similar indeed. In non-SAP ERP environments, the invoice is first generated in the ERP system in any available format. The invoice data is then transferred via API to the DocNow portal. Within DocNow, the invoice is transformed into the required EN 16931 compliant structured format and validated against German regulatory requirements. One key point is here is that there is no requirement for the DocNow to accept any standard format. It can be any format, and DocNow will convert it to the standards. DocNow also manages monitoring and reporting. Finally, the invoice is transmitted to the customer through the appropriate exchange channel, such as Peppol, EDI, email, or other special networks. So while the integration method differs, API instead of SAP iDoc, the end-to-end compliance logic remains consistent.
So regardless of the ERP system, the compliance, validation, and transmission logic remains standardized and controlled. And Ergon, could you also briefly explain how the incoming account payable workflow works for other ERP systems?
Of course, for non-SAP ERP systems, the incoming logic is conceptually similar but technically API-based. Structured e-invoices such as XRechnung, ZUGFeRD, or other standards compliant formats are received through channels like Peppol or other channels, and first arrive at the document portal. Within DocNote, the invoice undergoes format validation, compliance checks aligned with German requirements, as well as monitoring and reporting. After validation, the structured invoice data is transferred via API to the target ERP system. If required, the invoice can also be routed to an external invoice management or workflow system for approval processing before posting. Finally, the ERP system performs verification and posting according to the company's internal accounting rules and controls. So, while the integration method differs from SAP, the compliance, validation, and control framework remains consistent and the same.
So regardless of the ERP platform, incoming invoices are validated centrally and integrated in a controlled and compliant manner.
Yeah.
Okay, back to you, Alper. Before we close, what are the key takeaways regarding Germany's e-invoicing framework?
Of course, Ibrahim, there are 4 essential points to remember. First, Germany follows a decentralized model. There is no mandatory central platform for business-to-business e-invoice transmission. So a company can use any compliant channel, such as Peppol, ViDA, or other transmission channels. Second, there is no single mandatory format. All compliant formats are accepted, but in practice, XRechnung and ZUGFeRD are the most widely used ones. Third, the timeline is critical. Receiving structured invoices is already mandatory, you know, and business-to-business e-invoice transmission becomes mandatory from 2027, next year, with full implementation by 2028. And finally, compliance is not just about the format. Success depends on ERP readiness, master data quality, accounting logic, internal controls, and partner connectivity. In short, Germany's e-invoicing transition is not just a legal change, it's a structural transformation of financial and ERP processes.
Thank you very much, Albert, for the clear and valuable insights. Germany's e-invoicing transition clearly requires more than technical compliance. It demands strategic ERP and process readiness. Before we close, would you like to share your final thoughts with our audience?
Thank you, Ibrahim. It was a pleasure to be part of this session. My final message would be simple. Start preparing early. E-invoicing in Germany is not just a regulatory obligation. It's an opportunity to streamline processes and strengthen financial control. And finally, thank you all for joining us today. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Albert. Ergon, you may have your final remarks as well. Would you please share them with us?
Thank you, Brian. SAP and ERP, even without an ERP, there is one seamless path to German e-invoicing compliance, and that is with Eaglesoft. Thank you all for joining us today. It was a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you so much, Ergon and Alper, for your valuable insights today. And thank you for joining. Also, I would like to thank everyone for joining our webinar today. If you need support with SAP integration, ERP readiness, Peppol connectivity, or compliance with the German e-invoicing mandate, feel free to contact Eaglessoft. We will be happy to support you throughout your transition. Thank you so much and have a great day.